Hello, folks. I'm speaking to you today with a very solemn heart, concerned about the security of the Commonwealth and reflecting on the terrorist tragedies we've recently seen on the streets of Paris and elsewhere. We must not deceive ourselves. What we saw in France could easily happen here in Pennsylvania, in our own shopping malls, concert halls, and athletic fields. You would think that at a time when the world is on high alert for terror, especially from nations where the radical Islamic State, or ISIS, has deep roots, that we would be doing everything in our power to make sure any refugees we accept from these regions are thoroughly screened to eliminate the possibility of terrorist ties. The sad truth is that we're not. In fact, some government leaders, like Governor Tom Wolf, seem completely disconnected from reality. Instead of calling for a pause in the settlement of refugees from ISIS-controlled areas of Syria, a step that would allow a better and more thorough screening process to take place, our state's governor has essentially said, full speed ahead, settle as many Syrians as you can, and fast. Friends, this goes against every ounce of common sense. My office, like the offices of many of my colleagues, has been inundated with calls from constituents like you, asking, what on earth is the governor thinking? Why is he endangering our children by throwing our borders wide open to who knows whom? I can't begin to decipher the governor's mindset, only to say that this is a naive and foolish mistake. More than 120 innocent civilians were brutally murdered by ISIS in Paris, and hundreds more were critically wounded. The investigation so far suggests at least one, and there could be more as the investigation unfolds, of the armed gunman got into France by posing as a refugee. He was really an ISIS fighter. ISIS has warned us it will strike in the U.S. soon and will take advantage of the refugee stream to infiltrate our country. Also, on November 13th, 8 men were detained at Ataturk Airport in Turkey, members of ISIS who had disguised themselves as refugees in an attempt to be smuggled into Europe. Even more alarming, closer to home, 2 federal agents operating under the umbrella of U.S. Customs and Border Protection reportedly claimed that 8 Syrian illegal aliens attempted to enter Texas from Mexico in the Laredo sector. The sources claimed that 8 Syrians were apprehended on Monday, November 16th. The threat is real. Despite what the President and this Governor and Senator Casey say, right now our government has very little in place to thoroughly vet the stream of refugees being accepted by the Obama administration. Remember, I used to do this type of work in Iraq. We do not have data covering the type of people we are dealing with here. So checking the databases we have will not yield the type of background information we need to weed out those that may wish to do us harm. So far, nearly 10,000 Syrians have been promised resettlement in the United States. A large share of these young, single, working-aged men who strangely arriving without wives or children. If this was not a political decision, we would be taking a different approach to our safety. Make no mistake, refugees are coming to Pennsylvania. Last year, the Commonwealth accepted 3,056 refugees, 112 of them from Syria. Since October 1st of this year, the state has taken in 14 more Syrian refugees. Nationwide, 31 governors from both parties have announced they will no longer support settlement of Syrian refugees in their states until stringent screening requirements are adopted at the federal level to ensure we aren't bringing terrorists into our local neighborhoods. Governor Wolf, by contrast, has thrown open the Keystone State door. With resistance growing in other states to their settlement, you can well believe that even more Syrian refugees will be pouring into Pennsylvania soon. Who are these refugees? Sadly, nobody knows, and it doesn't appear anyone is willing to take the time to find out. This is irresponsible and illogical. The job of this governor is first and foremost to keep our state's citizens safe. His reckless position places us all in danger. I recently joined 100 of my fellow legislators in penning a letter to the governor asking him to reevaluate his position and slow down the settlement until greater controls are in place. He dismissed our request out of hand. The governor may be able to dismiss lawmakers, but there is one group of people he cannot dismiss: you, our citizens. Now, I know a few of you, very few, have suggested it is compassionate for us to take all the refugees regardless of risk. Nonsense. That may be fine on a personal basis, but the people have elected us to protect them, and that must override all other factors. Unfortunately, there is little we can do at the state level to stop the refugees other than pressure the governor not to cooperate and pressure the federal officials to stop it. I encourage you to contact Senator Casey's office and make known your displeasure. If you believe the governor is endangering the residents of our state with backward policy toward refugee settlement, I urge you to call him and tell him to keep our people safe. His number is 717-787-2500. That's his Harrisburg office. He can also be reached locally in his Pittsburgh office at 412-565-5700. This is a gravely serious matter. It cuts to the heart of our nation's liberties and our ability to live in peace. Light up his phone lines and let's place the safety of Pennsylvanians first. Until next time, God bless.